Hey, what's up? It's your girl BB and I'm back with a new and hopefully better video. My computer sucks at editing, so we're going to try this on a new system and hope that it works. A lot of stuff has happened since my last video, but I'm not going to make this 20 minutes long. We've got 3 interesting topics to cover, so let's just go ahead and get straight into the sauce. Okay, so the first topic that I want to talk about is the Seoul Music Festival. I actually had the amazing opportunity to be there and see our queens, Loona, live. As for the orbits, there were some, a lot of international fans were there because it was actually quite cheap to go. It was only $1 for the ticket. But I kind of wish, that I could have been louder or sit closer or stand in general admission because I wanted to scream for our queens. For those of you guys who live in the northern hemisphere, it gets quite cold in October. So, I was wearing a long sleeve jeans. And I was freezing. I felt like I was drowning in Titanic water, hypothermia, all sorts of teas. And I know that Yin from CLC must have been freezing in that little red dress that they had her in. But all the performances were really good. I was really proud of Hyunjin because even though she wasn't feeling well, she did amazing on that stage and didn't let an ounce of her sickness show. And yeah, pretty much a lot of people were there to see X1. I was really impressed with their performance and super happy to see Woosok on stage again. But that's pretty much it for the Seoul Music Festival. I have some of the footage there. It was kind of a dog-eat-dog world, so you can see I started from the back and I moved forward. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to talk about regarding that. So let's get on to the next part of the sauce. Speaking of X1, on October 3rd, Soompi released a translated article talking about the conditions of Mnet and CJ E&M's contracts and conditions of X1 and Idol School. Before I begin, I wanted to preface that all these allegations are alleged, as I'm only going off of the original article and a couple of statements made by former members of the TV shows themselves. According to the original article, it stated some members got preferential treatment. They ate by ranking order, meaning that A class ate first, so A, B, C, D, meaning that the boys at the very bottom in D class weren't properly fed and had to eat whatever was left in the end, which would be as little as a bowl of rice. Some members also allegedly knew song choices and choreo ahead of time, so they were able to prepare more. The article goes on to talk about the relationship between CJ E&M, Mnet, and the companies. Specifically, it goes into detail on their contract. So for every episode that a trainee would appear in, a company would get paid $83 US, which pretty much made the trainees kind of go along with whatever the company asked them to do because they didn't want to get edited out of an episode, which already has my bones boiling. Whenever a song was released, a company would only get paid about $837 US, and only about tens of dollars would go to the individual artists. So these artists would get as little as $20, all the way up to $90. I'm not the biggest X1 fan, and I wasn't really a big 101 fan, but and I'm not honestly the biggest Izone fan either, but I really loved I.O.I, and to see that, their sister and brother groups are being treated like crap is horrible, especially because these elimination shows go on the desperation of these trainees wanting to achieve their dream, and they make the show so emotional and so emotionally appealing. And you end up caring for these trainees. There were a lot of people in Produce 48 that I loved that didn't make it. And Produce 101 and Produce 101 Season 2. I mean, Samuel, come on. To think that, these trainees really had to go through all of that just to achieve their dream is a mess. Unfortunately, the disappointment doesn't stop there. When it comes to Idol School, there seems to be a lot of lies on how the show was ran, as well as a lot of maltreatment for the girls, which is extremely concerning considering the amount of minors that were present on the TV show. The first of those lies being that the 40 girls who participated on the TV show were chosen through a round of auditions. It was confirmed by former Produce 101 contestant and Idol School member Lee Hae-in that only 3 of these girls actually went to the proper audition and did the proper process. Most of these girls were contacted outside or didn't actually go through the audition. The major issue is the styling of the girls' school uniforms. For those of you guys who don't know, in Korea, there are 2 types of uniforms. There's the summer uniform and a fall uniform. They can be the exact same looking, but the material used is completely different, obviously for winter to keep you warm and summer to keep you cold. The uniforms that the Idol School members wore were only summer styled, meaning that during the winter month, these girls were freezing and forced to do activities. Some members who were previously on the show even compared it to serving in the military. Another issue is how isolated the girls were from the outside world. The students on the show only went to school about once or twice a month, and the contestants could only go out once a month to buy necessities, which were from a CJ E&M owned convenience store, which is allegedly Olive Young. On top of that, they were barely given enough to eat, and the girls who did go to school would try to hide food in their hats or their underwear to share among their roommates and other contestants. Even this wasn't always successful though, because staff conducted full body inspections and confiscated their food and any other outside materials. Lee also confirmed this and stated that there were no human rights when we were filming. Most of the contestants were underage and they did not keep industry standards for filming hours. We developed skin diseases, we were stuck in studios without a single window, but the staff just told us to sleep. We complained, and when we were finally granted permission to move dorms, that was when we realized nothing would change unless we spoke up. We were at least able to go to the hospital of our choice. Okay, so now that all the facts are out of the way and we have everything clear, it's pretty obvious that these girls deserve better. If all of these allegations are true, then CJ E&M should at least pay compensation fees to these girls and their families. Or I think it would be more appropriate if they were charged with child maltreatment under the neglection category and according to Korean child labor laws. I know that kind of sounds extreme, but the reason I say this is because given that Jihan is a minor and a member in Fromis 9, they were clearly minors on the show, and as stated by Lee, they were treated inhumanely and the minors were overworked, which she stated in the quote that I read you, where she said that filming hours weren't followed strictly. All in all, the members were treated inhumanely, and it's just really messed up that they really had to go through this without any support and any contact to the outside world. Now, all of this controversy leaves us to speculate, what about Fromis 9? How should they be treated? Should they be held accountable for CJ E&M's actions when it comes to manipulating and choosing who they want to be in the final lineup? While it is speculated that out of the 9 members, 8 of them had signed their contracts with CJ E&M ahead of the eliminations in the final round, I don't really think that the Fromis girls should be held accountable, nor should they be punished. Unlike what some netizens are calling for, I don't think that they should be forced to stop any future promotions, nor should they disband if this turns out to be true. Nor do I think it says anything bad about the girls individually. After all, they could have just as easily been some of the girls who didn't make it, and I can't blame them for wanting to achieve their dreams in a system that was clearly rigged and unfair to begin with. I mean, think about it. All it would have taken to get any of the Fromis 9 girls removed from Fromis was another girl that they thought was prettier, or another girl that was a little bit more talented or came from a richer company. Take Produce 48, for example. Khan has been number 1 or number 2 throughout the whole Produce 48 series, but they didn't want to have a woman from an older group be a part of Izone, and we can see that. They had this very specific image, and so all of a sudden Wonyoung became center and Khan suddenly dropped to the last place. It doesn't make any sense. So I don't blame them for, wanting to achieve their dreams in a rigged system. It's very fair. It could have easily been anyone else suffering through this. As much as it sucks, TV shows like these exploit the dreams of young minors and older idols who really just want a proper chance to fulfill their dreams. I will say, the only good show that ever formed a group was the Uni.T, because UNB and Uni.T were masterpieces. But even there, I think that there was a little bit of voting manipulation, because Kim should have made it in the final lineup. But that is a different point. We are not talking about the Uni.T. It was still an amazing show. Regardless, these shows, specifically Mnet, really do an intense job of devil editing, of manipulating scores just to get the group that they want to get. And I can't blame the Fromis 9 members for using any sort of branch that CJ E&M gave them. All in all, what these girls suffered through was close to abuse and exploitation, if not actual abuse. Because all of these shows are under CJ E&M Entertainment, and by all of these shows, I mean Produce Series, I mean Idol School, even Show Me the Money, I have to wonder if past idols and contestants on Mnet survival shows were treated this way, especially considering that Mnet typically tries to make a carbon copy of each group. Speaking of carbon copies, a few fans noticed that Super Junior is having a comeback. And while we all might not be Super Junior stans, we all know that they've been in the game long enough to know that copying is not okay. Considering that Super Junior runs their own comebacks and just gets the basic approval from SM, it's frustrating to see that Suju is allegedly taking the hard work of their juniors, D.I.A. For those of you who aren't girl group supremacists like me, the girl group D.I.A released their 5th mini album on March 19th, 2019. This album was titled Newtro and had the title track of I.O.I, or Wow. Super Junior's concept is Newtro, and the album is called Time Slip. Some argue that Newtro is a genre, and it's true that if you search it on YouTube, you can find a few videos with that title. However, when you search Newtro genre on Google, it asks if you're looking for Neutrogena and pulls up D.I.A.'s album. On Naver, they do use the concept of Newtro when talking about the movie Bohemian Rhapsody and the trends that it set, but as far as I can see, this concept was a musical adaptation of the movie genre by D.I.A, and Suju is following them in that trend. Fans are also stating that the concept teasers look the same. Let me know what you think, because I really am 50-50 on this. Anyway, who knew Jinsoul would scalp me with black hair? Please put her in braids so I can call her Jinsoul Adams. Please, BBC, I'm begging. Anyway, if you're new to this channel, let me know what you think below. We love to have a good, healthy discussion. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and like the video. Bye!